The Duke's estate was awash in the soft glow of candlelight, a celebration meant for a bride and groom. But when Duke Julian lifted the white silk veil, the face he found was not the one he had been promised. A cold blade pressed against his throat. It was General Caleb, his bride's brother, whose features were hardened despite the delicate makeup. Caleb's voice was a low growl, questioning the Duke's audacity in presuming to marry his sister. Julian, however, merely chuckled, a disarmingly warm sound. He moved with a speed that belied his refined appearance, disarming the general and reversing their positions. He whispered, a playful glint in his eyes, that perhaps the sister was never the one he truly wanted. From a perch on the slate roof tiles high above, Adeline watched the scene unfold. She had orchestrated this, bribed by Julian with the promise of something she desired more than anything. A sudden slip on a patch of moss sent her tumbling downward. She squeezed her eyes shut, bracing for the impact, but landed instead in a pair of strong, steady arms. Princess Seraphina, Julian's sister, had returned. Her silver hair, like a cascade of moonlight, brushed against Adeline's cheek. The princess looked from the chaos in the window back to Adeline, her expression a mixture of confusion and concern, asking if she was all right before suggesting she stop watching her brother and perhaps look at her for a change. The wedding night had been a carefully laid trap. Caleb, a decorated general with a physique honed by years of training, had taken his sister Adeline's place. During the ceremony, Adeline had hovered nearby, disguised among the household staff, hissing reminders for him to mind his posture and hide his large military-issue boots beneath the gown. A glimpse of his brother-in-law's barely concealed smirk told her that Julian was already aware of the deception. Now, in the bridal suite, the pretense was over. Rose petals and almonds scattered across the floor as the two men wrestled, a chaotic dance of strength and strategy. Julian playfully noted that the general seemed disinclined to start a family with him. Pinned beneath Caleb, he felt the general's fingers tighten around his neck, the response a guttural curse. A knock at the door from a servant announcing the arrival of the ceremonial wine brought a tense pause. Blood trickled where Caleb's knife had nicked Julian's neck, a stark red against his pale skin. Julian used the interruption to his advantage, whispering a threat about the king's decree and the charge of treason that would doom them all if the charade was exposed. Defeated, Caleb bit back his fury. When the servant entered, Julian lounged back, demanding his wife serve him. Caleb's face flushed with rage, but under the servant's watchful eye, he played the part, roughly pouring the wine down Julian's throat. The servant, sensing the volatile atmosphere, fled, closing the door softly behind her. On the roof, Adeline traced the features of the woman in the oil painting Julian had given her. It was Seraphina, captured in two distinct moments. One in full military regalia, her gaze fierce and commanding. The other in the quiet of a command tent, her expression thoughtful and resolute. It had been 3 years since Adeline had last seen her. Seraphina, though a princess, had followed their father, the old general, into the art of war, while Adeline, the general's own daughter, had forsaken the sword for the scalpel, becoming a respected physician. Julian's bribe had been simple. Help him get Caleb into the manor, and the priceless portraits would be hers. The memory of Adeline's tearful performance for her brother, fabricating a story about Julian's horse-like face to convince him to take her place, now seemed a distant, foolish play. Her escape from the roof ended when she was caught by Seraphina herself. A gust of wind showered them both in pear blossom petals. Confused by the tears on Adeline's face and the sounds of struggle from the suite, Seraphina assumed the worst, her voice sharp as frost as she asked Adeline if she was unharmed. Her heart's desire, the woman she had pined for, was finally back. The next morning, news spread through the city that Duke Julian, in an effort to please his new bride, had personally stood in line at dawn to buy her favorite pastries from a famed downtown bakery. When Adeline delivered a salve for Caleb's bruises, she found Julian dabbing at a mole beneath her brother's lip, an act of infuriating intimacy. Caleb raged that a forced union could never be sweet, to which Julian calmly replied that while not sweet, it would certainly quench a thirst. He then presented the box of pastries. Caleb's favorite lemon tarts and cream puffs were all there, a fact Adeline had secretly supplied to Julian in exchange for yet another painting. Caleb's anger subsided, replaced by a sullen silence as he began to eat. Julian watched him with an expression of such profound tenderness that Adeline felt she had to leave. Before she did, Caleb looked at her with the grim determination of a soldier heading into battle, assuring her he would handle Julian. Her mind, however, was no longer on her brother's predicament. It was consumed by Seraphina, who had returned to the capital to recover from injuries sustained while repelling southern rebels. Late that evening, just as Adeline was closing her clinic, a figure appeared in the doorway. It was Seraphina, dressed in a simple white gown, her presence filling the small space. She complained of a pain in her chest and asked if Adeline could treat her. Inside the examination room, the air thick with the scent of herbs, Seraphina removed the top of her gown, revealing a constellation of scars across her shoulder and collarbone. Adeline's touch was gentle as she applied the ointment, her voice laced with reproach as she scolded the princess for her recklessness. Seraphina caught her hand, pulling Adeline into an embrace. The scent of iris enveloped her. Seraphina murmured that her hands were injured too, and without Adeline's care, she would surely perish. The playful manipulation made Adeline's cheeks burn. Just as she moved to pull away, a frantic attendant burst in, announcing that the king was on his way to the duke's estate. They raced to the manor in Seraphina's carriage, Adeline quickly changing into a servant's tunic and applying a fake mustache. They arrived just as the king's arrival was announced. The first thing the royal party saw was a pillow flying out of the master suite and hitting the king squarely in the head. Caleb, caught mid-brawl with Julian, froze upon seeing the royal crest. He immediately adopted a demure posture, leaning against Julian, his clothes disheveled and lipstick smeared. The king, a good-natured man with poor eyesight, simply inquired why the newlyweds were fighting so soon. A servant, prompted by Seraphina, explained that the duke had teased his wife about a childhood promise of marriage, which had earned him the pillow. The king laughed, remarking that the bride had the same fiery spirit as her brother, General Caleb. He then squinted, peering at Caleb, and noted that she seemed to have an Adam's apple. Adeline's heart stopped. Caleb, thinking fast, explained in a high-pitched voice that it was the result of a childhood diet rich in roosters. The king accepted this bizarre explanation with another laugh, clapping Caleb on the shoulder before turning to leave. As he passed Adeline, he paused, noting her poorly applied mustache. He remarked to Seraphina that it was a strange world where men looked like women and women looked like men, and advised her to feed her staff better. Once the king was gone, Julian gently wiped the smudged lipstick from Caleb's mouth, remarking on his brother's fortunate nearsightedness. Caleb turned away, muttering about the close call. Julian's voice grew soft, his playful demeanor gone. He told Caleb that if he were ever truly in danger, he would not wish to live. The unexpected sincerity flustered the general. Julian seized the moment, sweeping Caleb into his arms and carrying him back toward the bedroom, suggesting they continue where they had left off. As Caleb's protests faded down the hall, Adeline was startled by Seraphina's arms wrapping around her. The princess whispered in her ear, asking Adeline to stop watching her brother and finally look at her. Adeline, flustered, tried to explain her aversion to marrying Julian, but Serafina was unconvinced, pointing out that she had seen Adeline crying on the roof, seemingly for Caleb. Adeline claimed it was just dust in her eye from the wind, but Serafina calmly stated that there had been no wind the previous night. Cornered, Adeline stood on her toes and pressed a quick, shy kiss to the princess's cheek. She pulled back, her face scarlet, and asked if Serafina believed her now. Julian, reappearing in the doorway, sighed dramatically. He told his sister that she was as dense as Caleb, revealing that Adeline had sold her own brother out for 2 of her portraits. From the bedroom, Caleb's roar of outrage echoed through the estate. The shout was interrupted by a new voice, cool and imperious. It was the Queen Mother. She stood at the main entrance, her attendants arrayed behind her, an expression of cold fury on her face. In the grand hall, Caleb, Adeline, Julian, and Serafina knelt before the Queen Mother. She explained that she had gone to see Serafina, only to be told the princess was staying at the Duke's estate. She had arrived just in time to witness the entire spectacle. She fixed her gaze on Caleb, dismissing his feminine disguise with a withering look. Serafina spoke up, her voice firm, declaring her love for Adeline. Julian took responsibility for the entire scheme. Caleb tried to claim it was all his idea. The Queen Mother's anger flared. She ordered Caleb and Adeline arrested and taken to the dungeons. In the damp, cold cells, Julian visited Caleb daily, bringing him meals he had learned to cook himself. The Duke, who had never touched a pan in his life, now meticulously prepared all of Caleb's favorite dishes. Their conversations through the iron bars were a strange courtship, deepening a bond that had started in conflict. One afternoon, their father arrived, carrying a royal pardon he had earned through a lifetime of service. He intended to free Caleb, the heir and general, leaving Adeline, the physician, to her fate. Caleb refused, clinging to the bars of his cell, declaring he would not leave without his sister. He spoke of his history with Julian, of a childhood rescue and a lifetime of quiet support, of a love he was willing to die for. He spoke of Adeline's devotion to Serafina, a love just as true. The old general, faced with the unyielding loyalty of his children, dropped the cane he held, defeated. Their argument was interrupted by the Queen Mother's return. She brought grave news. Border insurgents were attacking again, and Serafina, in a desperate bid to earn a pardon for Adeline, had taken command of the army and ridden out to meet them. It was a perilous mission. The Queen Mother's offer was clear. If Caleb could ride out, support Serafina, and bring her back safely, the charges against his sister would be dropped. The journey north was tense. Julian rode with Caleb, acting as his quartermaster. Caleb comforted Adeline, assuring her of Serafina's skill as a commander. The mood lightened as the 2 men began to banter, with Caleb playfully asserting dominance and Julian slyly retorting with intimate jokes that made Adeline's ears burn. A fragile peace settled over them as Julian spoke of a future far from court intrigue, a quiet life with Caleb. For the first time, Caleb did not argue. He thought of his own past, of the brutal training under his father, of the dreams of being an artist he had long since abandoned. His hands, calloused from the sword and bow, were not made for brushes anymore. They found Serafina's camp pitched in a high mountain pass. The reunion was immediate and heartfelt. Adeline and Serafina embraced under the stars, their years of unspoken longing melting away in the cold night air. Later, around a campfire, Julian tried to reason with Serafina, urging her not to risk her life for Adeline. Adeline, prompted by a look from Julian, clung to the princess, begging her not to go. The blatant emotional manipulation made Serafina blush. That night, sharing a tent, the air crackled with unspoken tension. Adeline, frustrated by Serafina's composed demeanor, finally pulled the princess into a desperate kiss. The cool reserve shattered, replaced by a consuming passion. In the tent next door, Caleb and Julian's loud bickering provided an absurd counterpoint to their quiet intimacy. The next morning, as they prepared to break camp, they were ambushed. A trusted lieutenant of Caleb's, a man named Quentin, had betrayed them, leading a band of mercenaries into the camp. Chaos erupted. Serafina pulled Adeline onto her horse, firing arrows with deadly precision as they fled. An arrow struck their horse, and in the ensuing panic, Adeline was thrown, her head striking a rock. The mercenary leader cornered Serafina at the edge of a cliff, his words lewd and threatening. She responded by throwing a hidden dagger that found its mark in his chest. As his men charged, Serafina stumbled backward, falling over the precipice and into the raging river below. Adeline screamed, a raw, broken sound, before the world went black. In the ensuing battle, a poison dart meant for Caleb was intercepted by Julian, who collapsed in a spray of blood. Enraged, Caleb fought with the fury of a man possessed, cutting a path through the enemy until he reached the traitor, Quentin. He emerged from the carnage a lone, blood-soaked figure, carrying his wounded lover in his arms. Weeks later, in the Duke's estate, the sound of Caleb's grumbling filled a sick room. He berated a physician for being too rough while changing Julian's bandages, eventually taking over the task himself. His touch was surprisingly gentle. Julian, lying on the bed, teased him for his jealousy. As Caleb tended to the wounds, he was reminded of the countless scars, old and new, that covered his own body. A wave of self-pity, mostly feigned, washed over him, and he tearfully suggested that if Julian felt sorry for him, he should let him be on top that night. Julian's reply was a dry, "Over my dead body." Adeline, arriving with fresh medicine, witnessed the entire exchange. She found no joy in their recovery. Serafina had been pulled from the river by villagers downstream, but she remained in a deep coma. Day after day, Adeline sat by her bedside, administering remedies, speaking to her, waiting for a sign of life. One afternoon, she sought solace in the quiet sanctity of the royal temple. There, she found the Queen Mother, her face etched with weariness. The Queen Mother confessed that she, too, came to pray for her children. She knew that Adeline had secretly arranged for the captured mercenary leader to be poisoned in his cell. Instead of punishment, she offered praise, remarking that such ruthlessness made her a worthy match for Serafina. She then told Adeline to go to the palace. A messenger had just arrived with news that the princess was awake. The Queen Mother's birthday celebration was a grand affair. The king, his spectacles firmly in place, called Caleb forward. With a dramatic flourish, he declared that he was no longer fooled by their ruse. He knew everything. The court held its breath, expecting a death sentence. Instead, the king laughed. His punishment for Caleb and Julian was a lifetime of forced companionship. He then pointed to a roasted rooster on Caleb's plate, congratulating him on catching the traitor and suggesting he replenish his strength. A collective sigh of relief filled the hall. The Queen Mother then made her own decree, officially betrothing Adeline to Serafina. Their father, aghast, started to protest, but a single sharp look from the Empress Dowager silenced him. A month later, under a blossoming pear tree, Caleb and Julian signed their marriage contract. As the final stroke was laid, Julian pulled Caleb into a passionate embrace, murmuring that he had only now tasted true sweetness. The night of the double wedding was a spectacle of crimson and gold. The city itself seemed to celebrate, the light from thousands of lanterns eclipsing the stars. Adeline stood beside Seraphina, both in magnificent gowns, holding opposite ends of a red silk ribbon. The Queen Mother watched them with a genuine smile. Even their father managed a weary, accepting expression. As the officiant's voice called for the brides to bow to each other, Seraphina lifted Adeline's veil. Her eyes were clear and bright with love as she made her vow, a promise witnessed by the heavens, to be Adeline's wife for the rest of her days.